Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Elite Wrestling World. I am your host GhostSaad. Thank you guys for joining me right here for Dynamite Maximum Carnage post show review. What a stack card we have for tonight. So let's get dive into it and talk about that. So we started off with Samoa Joe talking about setting up a bounty on Adam Page's head, and anyone can collect that bounty. So in comes the bounty hunter Brian Keith, and we have set up a match for tonight against Hangman Adam Page. So that was that, and we started off with the first section of the night between Darby Allin versus Pac. We have grown accustomed to Allin getting beaten up pretty violently, and this was no different. The bumps he took were pretty nasty, making you wonder, like always, how he's able to walk out on his own when the match is over. I liked how the previous strategy by Pac that got him a win on Full Gear didn't work and backfired in this match, and I am interested to see Alan goes from here. So we started off with in the crowd and Pac hitting Darby Allin belly to belly on the steel step was the brutal thing I have seen on this program. That was nasty. After that, we saw Allen fouling out of his way in the corner and connecting a missile dropkick. The referee was bumped, and we saw Wheeler Utah coming out to help Pac, but he got a shot of Scorpion Deathlock from Darby Allin. Then Darby Allin applied the Scorpion Death Drop on Pac as well, injuring his ankle and then stomping a chair on his ankle, and that was nasty as well. Then Allen applied the Scorpion Deathlock again on Pac, and that was it for that. And Pac tapped out as Paul Turner recovered to see it. So, what a beautiful and brutal match to start off Dynamite Maximum Carnage. Brian Danielson questioned if this was the win and defeating all the members of the Death Riders, and should it bring Allen to peace. And I think the next chapter should be the world title match against MJF. Next up, we saw the Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Keith match. This was Keith's first single match in a while, and Keith and Bill have seemed to be floundering after some time on tag team and con collision. So that was a first time match between Brian Keith and Adam Page, and we saw a quick match between these two. Adam Page is not gonna lose this kind of a match, and he wins it. We saw Big Bill coming out to help Brian Keith, but we also saw Strickland coming out to help Adam Page. This allowed Page to clobber Keith with a buckshot, led it, and get the pin. So post match, we saw Page grab the mic, called Keith a dumbass before telling Samoa Joe he's going to take everything from him. And in comes Kenny Omega. Music hits and Omega is in the ring, and that was a very good moment to see three former world champions in the same ring. Omega said he had his own time etched out, but he was going to come into the ring with these great champions. And the fans called him Omega, the god of professional wrestling. It meant something. And for challenging again AEW World title match, he has to win some matches and earn his shot. Page said, unfortunately, this isn't a team effort, so if they cross paths on the way to championship, sincerely may the best man win. Page and Omega shook hands, and Page left the ring while with Strickland and Omega. Before leaving, Don Callis comes out and he talk about how Josh Alexander break the leg of Kota Ibushi. So Omega told Uncle Don he could barely hear him on over the fans' boos, and he tell Alexander Dihada that he has a little bit of time tonight. So what about Josh Alexander versus Kenny Omega tonight? But then Callis said that Daddy's gonna say when that match will happen, and it will happen next week. So again, this match is set up for next week, and it's gonna be a fantastic match, and it's very good to see Kenny Omega back on television. Next up, we saw a quick match between Brody King and John Cruz. That was a quick win and taking out John Cruz from the world title match in the main event. Brody hitting a Gonzo bomb for the easy win. And King took the mic and told Bandido he wants to see him kick MJF and win the AEW World Championship. Next up, we saw four-way match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Number one contender, the Young Bucks versus Gates of Agony versus JetSpeed versus Mark Davis and Jake Doyle. This was one hell of a party match and chaos all the time, with tags not becoming necessary. It's a tornado kind of a match. I would have called this a tornado tag in this aspect. Everyone looks great in this match, and I think we got the right winner for that. Geo looks fantastic. Bucks always have very good matches in these kind of scenarios. Jet Speed always deliver in these matches. The match breakdown in the ring as JetSpeed and Bucks hit stereo quadruple dives from the top before Knight ate a super kick. Doyle and Mark Davis look fantastic for the first time when they are tagging, and Doyle tried an awful waffle on Nick, but Khan put a stop to it. Then we saw Ricochet left the commentary and Pudley knocks out of the ring during the count on GOA, and Jack Perry just flew in off the camera and attacked Ricochet. And this distraction gets the advantage to Davis and Doyle, left in the ring against Jet Speed, and Bailey fired up multiple kicks and hit a time adventure to Davis before trying a corner Hurricane Rana, but Davis quickly grabbed Knight's leg, pulled him up by the legs into the stuff pile driver, and Jake Doyle and Mark Davis wins the number one contenders match. That was a very shocking result, but a very good result. Post match we saw FTR music hits, and they came out to face off against Davis and Doyle. I think it's gonna be a fantastic match between these two teams. Next up, we saw women's trios match: Kris Statlander and Babes of Wrath versus the Triangle of Madness, Thekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. It's about time that Thekla gets a big win, as they have been teasing having her in the title picture for a while, and I did like how they stand Statlander take the bullet for her former long-time rival. Very good trios match. All women's looks fantastic. Cameron was worked over the entire break, and Sister of Sin stopped Nightingale and Statlander from initially making the hot tag. Then we saw Cameron onto a splash on Thekla, but Sister of Sins broke the count and laid out Cameron. Thekla took out Statlander, but Nightingale met her with the Doctor Bomb, trying to hit a spear, but Kurt Storm delivered to Statlander, and Thekla pinned AEW Women's World Champion. And it's a very good win for Triangle of Madness. I think Thekla versus Statlander could be the match for the women's title at Revolution. And in the main event, we saw MJF versus Bandido for the AEW Men's World title. A great main event that felt very refreshing, as the heel champion didn't resort to any sort of cheating aside from an eye poke early in the match. While I don't think many thought Bandido was winning, but he put one hell of an effort and the crowd was still supporting him. And even in defeat, he looks fantastic coming out of this match. And for the match, we saw Gorilla Press lands until MJF takes a powder dodging, and Bandido dive initially, but as he walked around ringside, Bandido readjusted and wiped out MJF with a quick dive. MJF tried to mock the three amigos, did the shimmy, but Bandido powered through and delivered a stalling vertical suplex to MJF. Both men back inside, Bandido delivered a Cornillo for a close 2 count, wanted to hit the 21 plex, but MJF held on while Bandido's bad arm gave out. Bandido back out to the apron as MJF again looked for the heat seeker, missed again, tries the cutter again. This time Bandido had it scouted and hit a Gary and a shooting star press for a close 2 count. Bandido tried crawling to the ropes. MJF repositioned into the label lock, and Bandido flipped MJF off initially, but had to tap out. But he didn't tap out. At last, he faded out. So MJF retained the title in a very good main event match. Post match, MJF took the mic and said he laughed when he heard people call Bandido a future world champion. And as much as it pains him, Bandido will be the champion. But that means MJF has to do this. He slammed the AEW World title onto Bandido, but Brody King sprinted out and MJF ran away. King held Bandido up and the crowd cheered. As the show went off there, we saw a glimpse of Brody turning on Bandido, but I think it could be a very good story to tell in the future. And that's the show, folks. Please, guys, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep watching Elite Wrestling World.